Romance at a glance. Romance at a glance.
What you say now?
Romance at a glance.
Go ahead, girl.
Hello, romance listeners and kinky friends. I'd just like to let you know that this episode was recorded last fall, so before the world turned topsy-turvy and before social distancing was a thing. All right, let's get into it. Hey, romance besties! Welcome to another episode of Romance at a Glance. I'm your host, Shawnee, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Bridge Nasty. How you doing, Bridget?
I am doing so well, Shawnee. How are you?
Girl, I'm so good right now. I actually am so excited to talk about this book today.
I first would like to give a huge shout out to @LiteraryIllusions and @SarahSaysRead. You guys rock for your recommendations. And so does Tessa Dare.
Fun fact, we met her at our second ever panel we attended, and we love her, and we've loved her books for years. We are so excited to dip into this one, and she was such a lovely person when we met her.
She was. She actually lives in SoCal and was like, oh my God, let's all get together. And then Corona happened, so we didn't. But it was a very generous offer, and we do hope to have her on the old podcast.
Oh my God, can we do it, Bridget? I want her to come on so bad, please.
My people are talking to her people.
I love your people.
If you guys have any recommendations for any down-home romances filled with country boys, cowboys, small towns, leave a review for our show with your recommendation on Apple Podcasts and send us a screenshot, and we will shout you out on the podcast because we are going to need some of those for season 5.
All right, Bridget, are you ready to get into it?
I am ready. Let's do this. Well, hello, my book friends, and welcome back to another episode of Romance at a Glance. I'm Bridget, your friendly host, along with my co-host, Shawnee. How are you doing, Shawnee?
I'm doing so great today, Bridget. How you doing, girl?
I am doing so great. Ready to dive into The Wallflower Wager by Tessa Dare.
Yes.
Have you read Tessa Dare before?
I love Tessa Dare.
You love
I've read
Tessa
a
Dare?
ton of Tessa Dare.
You do read a lot of historicals.
I do. She's like a go-to. The funny thing is, I went to look to see how many books of hers I've read, and I just didn't remember they were Tessa Dare. But I've read a ton of her books.
Yeah.
I recommend her. In general, as an author, I love her books.
I, on the other hand, I've only read one of her other books, I think. Because, the historical is not my go-to genre. So it was very exciting. And this turned out to be the third book in the Girl Meets Duke series. And we actually got to meet and speak with Tessa at a panel, which was very fun.
Oh, that was super fun.
She was a delight.
Yeah, she's a dork, which is so great.
So great.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, we could be friends.
Yes.
You're not super cool. You're just like us.
You're kind of awkward, and I'm like, I'm kind of awkward. You're kind of awkward. Let's be friends.
Let's be awkward together.
Let's be awkward together.
No, she was absolutely a peach.
Yeah.
And another great thing is that I liked her book. So I always like when I like the books of people I meet and I like.
Yes, because we have met people that we haven't liked their books, and then it's slightly awkward in the back of your brain because you're like, I just talk shit about your book.
Well,
but hi, how are you?
Also, it's so awkward because it's I really like you as a
Yeah.
person, and I just don't love the book you wrote,
Yeah.
which is a bummer because I obviously the more I like you, the more I want to like your work.
Yes.
And the sadder I feel when I don't like it.
Which is funny, some people don't like the music that I make, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have friends and they my music's not their cup of tea. And the funny thing is, I always tell them it doesn't have to be. We can be friends and you cannot like my music.
Totally.
These two things are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah. And I think it's hard too for artists because we're constantly sharing our work.
Yeah.
Versus if you're an accountant, you're not hey, do you want to check out my spreadsheets? You know what I mean? That would just, unless you become my accountant, that's not really going to ever enter into our friendship.
Exactly.
Whereas for anyone who's an artist of any kind, you end up sharing what you do pretty frequently.
Yeah.
Which is a little tricky. But
that's why I generally don't ask people if they like a song. I'm like, do you like this song? I generally don't say that. I'll ask for feedback in other ways, but I won't say do you like or not like this? That way it doesn't force somebody to be yeah, so that thing you poured your heart into, I think is shit.
Yeah. It's actually my least favorite thing that's ever happened in music, but cool beans.
Cool beans.
Cool beans. Yeah, I frequently, my thing is more did you watch it? Because I have a few people who are also artists in their own way, family members or not. And when they send me things to watch and ask me to watch it and give them feedback, I watch it and give them feedback. And I don't say I hate it, but I'll say constructive things oh, I thought maybe this could have been tighter, or that could have been, if you're trying to hit that punchline, maybe you missed it, or, like, oh, that song is just not a genre I listen to, so I don't really have a lot of great feedback because I don't know that much about music, but other people I shared it to liked it or whatever.
Yeah.
What I don't like is when people don't actually read it, or they don't actually watch it, or whatever it is that I'm sending.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm asking for feedback. If I'm just like sending it out to 100 people on the list, it's like, do it or don't. That's fine. I've also had some people who are like, oh my God, I really liked it. And I'm like, oh, what part? And they're like, and I'm like, you don't have to lie to me and say you watched it. So silly. So in this case,
yeah,
I did like Tessa Dare. I did like this book.
And we were supposed to do an interview with her that day. And we were unable to because like signals got crossed. But she was like, oh, like come out and we can still do an interview. She was super like nice and gracious about that.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for that because we're going to hit her up in the new year.
Absolutely.
So this was historical, as we've already mentioned. And I know that you love historical. Tell me about the cover art though, Shani, because I want to talk about how this cover art, I think, missed the mark for me.
Did it? So okay. So for me, this cover art is like quintessential historical cover art. It's the guy, no shirt, the girl on the bed, laying down. He's on top of her. I actually thought it was accurate. Like he was always kind of in this dominant, like sort of thing. They mention primal a lot in their description of how interactions happen. The one thing I liked about the book was that she was taking charge of her life. Mm-hmm. And so kind of in the cover art, you don't get that feel of a woman who is fighting to maintain her independence and whatnot. This is the same kind of cover art that would be on a book for a damsel in distress or a virgin who's like totally swept away. Right. So I wish it had a little bit more.
I also thought she was super quirky.
Yeah.
And this did not give me any quirky vibes. And obviously she has like a menagerie of weird animals, which also did not get into this. I mean, I get that this is a fairly typical historical romance cover. I just thought it would have been nice to add a little more personality to her character and to him. I mean, it doesn't tell you anything about him either.
And if they had made it quirkier, I think I would have picked this book faster.
I agree.
This just looks like every other book cover to me.
I agree. So, it looks like it's going to be a super basic story.
Yeah. It's the same cover like from when I started reading these at like 13 or whatever. Like,
and as we found out, they don't always get to pick their covers or the people in their covers.
Yeah, so, that is a bummer.
Which is a bummer. So this book is about two people. A shocker, I know, because it's usually about two people. It's a romance novel. And it's about Gabriel Duke, who is, they call him the Duke of Ruin. Mm-hmm. Wealthy, ruthless. He destroys people, has built his fortune, buys this enormous mansion next door to Penelope, who's a lady, and also has this menagerie of weird animals. And he is going to try and sell this house and make a profit. And sort of having this lady with all these weird animals next door is not going to help him sell it. So he wants to help her get rid of the animals so that he can sell his house for more. And during that time, of course, they fall in love and end up keeping the house for themselves.
There's so many great moments too of like angst and like longing and build up.
I agree.
During this process, which I really liked.
Yeah, and I mean, they had like a really funny like meet cute where her parrot flies out of the house, and so she like finds the extra key, sneaks into his house, goes upstairs, finds the parrot, and then he comes out of the bathroom with just a towel on. And I really liked her character because she was just like ogling him, just like, oh hells yes, like she's not like oh dear, which I did feel like was really not historical. Mm-hmm. In terms of her reaction, I feel like that was very modern, I guess, of her. But it also was very funny that she's just ogling him and he's like, what the fuck are you doing in my house? And why do you have a parrot?
And why are you in my house?
And why are you in my house? And also, ooh, you're attractive. I thought you were going to be a spinster.
Yeah.
Like, this is a nice surprise.
This is a nice surprise. I liked also like when he is trying to like help her get all the animals out and they're having to talk about what to do about it. And like he ends up like lifting her, or she falls on him and she's lifting her and they're like face to face or whatever. And she just like kisses him.
Yeah.
She just kisses him and it's nice. And then she's like, oh, sorry, that was an accident. Well, not really. Cause I mean, accidents like you bump your head, not like you bump your lips or whatever.
Yeah.
I just like the rambling that happened right after that.
Yes.
And then he was like, okay, well, let me do that not on accident.
Yes.
And that was a good moment. I was like, ooh, this is nice.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. I liked that moment. I liked all their interactions, especially like in and around the animals, which obviously took up a majority of their interactions. Like when he like climbs up the shaft to go get the little 2-legged dog whose wheels got caught, or when he's going with her and they go in, and is it the otter that they go into or the hedgehog that they go in the water after?
The otter.
Yeah, the otter can't swim, so she like dives in the water after it.
Well, she's like trying to bring it home, and he's like, "It's an otter.
Yeah.
It found water. Like, let it go."
Yeah, and she's like all wet and devastated, and yeah, I thought their interactions were really cute. There were a couple things about their interactions that I was like not soups crazy about. One of which was that he's like, this whole book is like this Duke of Ruin, and then it turns out, of course, that he has like a heart of gold, and he's like sponsoring orphans and shit. And I'm like, people would know about that.
Yeah,
like I don't think you can hide that stuff.
But he also was like taking down like the aristocracy, like, buying up their debts and seizing their assets and all that.
He's like Robin Hood.
Yeah.
So then he's giving it back to the poor. I don't know. That felt a little stretchy for me at the end. I felt a little too much happily ever after, like unnecessarily. She loved him as the Duke of Ruin. I don't feel like he needed to have, like he could have just had a soft spot for her, not just in general.
Yeah.
It turns out. That was a little hokey for me, even for me. And I love hokey.
You love hokey.
I liked this book.
Yeah.
I love their like repartee. I love the interactions.
I mean, like,
I love the parrot saying fancy a fuck love.
Fancy a fuck love.
That was hysterical.
So for me, this book, I was laughing out loud most of it, which it's been a while since I've been like really like laughed out loud while reading a book.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that a lot about it. I wish the book had, well, one of the funniest parts for me was like, I liked her vegetarian food.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a sham, what was the name of her food that she was eating?
Like her fake chicken,
yeah,
and
her
fake beef, her fake meatloaf.
And she served it to him and he's like, what?
What the fuck is this? Terrible.
Or whatever. I liked all the animals. Animals I think just are always like a comedic relief type of thing in a book. And I liked that. So my favorite moment in the book was when Gabriel tells her like, oh, I'm going to get all these animals out of your house. I'm going to find good homes for them. It's going to be great. And then he has this couple come who run a farm, and they're coming for the animals. And she's like looking at these people like, these are not farmers or whatever. And she quickly like debunks that they're not farmers, and they kind of mutiny on him.
Actors.
Yeah. And she's like, what the hell, man? You think I can't see through these actors?
Yeah.
And you probably should have paid them better, So I really like that. I like that they have this kind of back and forth kind of hilarious like banter or whatnot. So that I think is really awesome about the book.
Yeah. The banter was great. And I liked even like the housekeeper and their contractor or builder or whatever, and how she's always like appearing behind him, and he's like, she's a ghost. She's the devil. Something's wrong with her. If I'm found chopped up, it was her, and then it turns out that she's just like been fucking with him. She's like, it's funny. He's so scared of me for no reason. So I've just been playing along.
And then at the end of the book, they're like getting together, macking it up.
Doing it. Yeah. He gets seduced.
Which I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
What I didn't enjoy about the book, which is like what I don't enjoy about most books, is that like there's like a molestation and a sexual trauma in this book. And it's not that these things don't exist in real life. Like I went through this. I don't want to read about it. Like I like to choose when I want to have to interact with that kind of information in a way. So like in romance novels and stuff like that, I just like would prefer not to read books with it, or at least know ahead of time that that's gonna be in the book, because sometimes I just want a lighthearted jaunt.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
So that was my thing. So even in my reviews that I put online, like on Goodreads and Audible, I wrote that. I was like, there's trigger warning. There is this is in the book, or whatnot. And I know women go through it, and it's part of people's stories. But like, I find romance novels are my escape, and so I like when it's not there.
And I also think in romance novels and in just in media in general, it's used too often. Like if you're an alien and you came to Earth and you just read and watched, you would think 100% of women have been assaulted or molested and they think, I mean, they say it's closer to a third or something like that, which is still way too high.
Yeah.
But also it's definitely, I agree with you. I one thing I didn't like about this also is, well, first of all, I thought it might be her brother who molested her at first, the way the writing was. And I was like, oh, don't be the brother. I mean, I don't want it to be anyone, but like, don't be the brother. And then when she was talking about things, I was like, oh, she was definitely raped or assaulted or something at some point. And then when you're like, oh, she's not that old. Oh, it was when she was a kid. So that definitely, like,
you saw it coming and you were like, oh.
I saw it coming and then I was like, oh no. Because then it does take you out of that, like the buildup of this lighthearted repartee that they have and the sort of like tension and sexual tension. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
I do agree too. And it's used a lot.
I did like that he obviously was like ready to just like ruin these people and kill them.
Yeah.
But I also like that she like told her brother, like, if you're still speaking to him, like you can't be in my life because this happened. And I don't, whether you believe me or not is your choice, but it is true. And so, and I liked that she sort of protected herself and drew her line in the sand and wasn't willing to, oh, okay, well, I'll still be your sister and be nice to you, even though you don't believe that this man took advantage of me as a child.
Yeah.
And
I like that they didn't wrap it up real neatly, at least right away, where like they didn't talk for like a year, between the epilogue and the end of the book, and so it wasn't like he was just like, okay, I believe you now, whatever. It was like, no, she lost like the relationship with her brother for a year before that, he came to the wedding.
Right.
The one thing I did like a lot was kind of the way she like took her power back when they first had sex or whatever, because she was like, she presented it to him. She was like, well, I want to do it and I want to do it with you. You know what I mean? And then I like how they set up too, because she's like, they're talking about it. He's like, no, it should be somebody you love. It should be somebody better than me or whatever. And she's like, well, I want you. She's like, if you want me. I mean, if you don't want me, then, it's not like, and he's like, well, do I want you? Yeah. Oh, this about to go down. We about to go to Pound Town right now. Okay. Yeah. And I was like, oh, it was good. Like for me, the sex was vanilla, but it was primal. It had like it was hot. I was
feeling it?
I was feeling it in the book. I was like, also like for me, the build up to sex is also what makes the sex awesome. Yeah. You can write a beautiful sex scene, but if there is no build up or angst leading into it, then it falls. Yeah. So I thought the build up was great. I like that she was like, after they had sex, she was like, ask me how I feel being ruined. And she's like, I feel fine because I'm not ruined. Yeah. This is great. This is my choice. Okay. Nobody tells me what to do, And even like at the very end of the book when she was walking, when her brother came, he was like, I'm here. I want to walk you down the aisle. She's like, no. I'm going to walk myself down the aisle. That's what's about to happen right now.
Yeah, I like that too.
I'm about to give myself away, or whatever.
Yeah, you lost out on the chance to give me away when you didn't believe me. And
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
So I did like that empowerment aspect of her. Yeah,
I did too. And I did think, because it's historical, it's like she was empowered, but also still had to get married. What I mean? So I liked that they didn't like go so far away from historical that you're like, yeah, but she still would need someone's protection because this is a historical romance novel, and that's just the way it was. Yeah. So I think that was kind of funny.
How did you feel about the way she reacted when he was gonna blackmail? When it looked like he was gonna blackmail her family into letting them get married?
I think I was just kind of like, what are you doing? I was like, I was like, she's not gonna be happy. This seems unnecessary.
That's what I felt too.
I was like, what are you doing, bro? But also, I thought it was kind of cute that he was like willing to go to any lengths.
Yeah. I felt like it was in character.
It was in character for sure.
Because he's been doing that for a long time. He wants his way. He
Yeah.
blackmails people basically into getting his way or
Right.
threatens whatever it is.
Yeah.
So just because he loves her or whatever and wants her doesn't mean he's not gonna like nail that down.
Right.
He was like, it was just a contingency. He's like,
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna use it unless I had to use
Right.
it.
And then I was going to use it.
Then I was gonna use it.
For sure. I think definitely it was in character, which again brings me back to the orphans and how out of character that was. And I was like, she already loved him regardless.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Orphans always bring people together. They use that a lot.
They use orphans. Orphans are such a trope. I mean,
Yeah.
I would wonder what the percentage of people who are actually full orphans are in the world. I mean, maybe in historical times, though, because people were fucking dropping from the plague. They were dropping from the flu. I mean, they were dying quite a bit faster than we are now.
Kids got left a lot. Yeah.
So I think kids did get left quite a bit.
But
and
like,
whether they were left, and also like people just like left their families, you could never find them again. It's not like now where you have the internet. It's like you can leave me, but I know you're in Orlando, Bob. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yo, sorry, it's a slight segue, but like this lady who lives down the street from my sister was telling this story about how she heard about all these orphans in Mexico and was like, oh man, that's really sad. She packed her kids up, went to this orphanage in Mexico, and then like just took a baby.
What?
Just took the baby. And she has this like little Mexican daughter. And
you mean she adopted it or she just stole it?
No, she stole it. She just said it. And my sister and I are looking at each other. She was just like, I took her. Nobody was gonna miss her and whatever. And I'm like, how are you raising her? Where is her paperwork? What is, and I know my mom had all sorts of forged paperwork for us when we were kids. Even though it had all our right information, she couldn't get our birth certificates for a while or whatever. And it was like in the first days of laser copying and stuff, and she fake laser copied all these things, but I'm like, how is this lady raising this girl? And she's like, she just took her. And we went to her just sitting there.
That is going to backfire because at some point you got to register them for school or daycare. You got to have a lot of paperwork for that. I know because I need to get Molly's birth certificate, which I haven't done yet.
She's in school. She's like,
what?
She's like 7.
Oh, I thought she was like a baby.
No. She took her when she was a baby.
Oh, okay. So she's had her for a while.
She's had her for a while.
Okay.
And like, and she straight out just said like, she just took her and drove back.
That's fucking madness.
I'm like, how'd you get this baby across the border with no paper? I have no idea. But this lady, she's also like,
because I don't have papers for Molly. So like, if I crossed a border, I guess I wouldn't take her across a border unless I got her a baby passport.
Yeah.
But even your baby passport, like, could be any kid. I mean, babies all look the same.
Oh, they all look the same.
As long as you're like remotely the same skin color and hair color, you could get away with it.
Like, but it was, I don't know, it was very interesting. But sorry, that was a segue. But I was like, how you just gonna take an orphan? Like, But
so I guess
in these
the
books,
point of the story is orphans are more prevalent than I think, but less prevalent than historical or movies would have us
believe. But like, I think I've read in the last year at least 4 books that had the person was giving money to an orphanage. It's like the thing that's used always to make someone look like they're a better person than they are.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. This girl said to me the other day, like this phrase that I hate when people say, which is like, they'll tell you like how a person did horrible things to them. They'll name 100 horrible things. And they'll be like, but they're not a bad person. And I'm always like, yes, they are.
Actions make you a bad person.
Actions make you a bad person. Like all these actions right here made this person a bad person.
Yeah.
But they have a good heart. No. They don't have a good heart because you remember these things you just said? Yeah. Like 1
so if
through
they had
100.
A good heart, they wouldn't have done
these things. You know?
That's
I'm always just like, so it's interesting. It's like they take a character who's doing a bunch of bad stuff and they're like, oh, he's giving to orphans. And then that's supposed to like cancel out everything.
But also like, why? She loved him when he was bad.
Yeah.
So that's fine. He could just be good with her, for her. And with everyone else, he's like, come near us and I'll fuck your life up.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
I'm totally okay with that.
I mean, I personally wouldn't love that man because that's not my style. But in a book, I could love him for her. Sure.
I'm
She's soft-hearted enough for them both.
There's something I do like about a man who is tough in his regular day life.
Yeah.
And soft with me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Actually, Leo is kind of a dick at work, I think. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
He shouts at a lot of people, I think. I think he's not very nice to most of the people at work because he, like, his expectations of them are so high.
Yeah.
And obviously most people don't meet those expectations. Which also makes me feel when I'm having a bad day really good about myself. 'Cause I'm like, man, he's harsh on people's intelligence and he's harsh on people about a lot of things. He loves me though.
Yeah.
Feeling good about that. I'm doing something right.
There's like, I mean, I remember I had one boyfriend who like, some guy did something creepy to me and he literally like jumped a wall and slashed this guy's like all his tires or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I like that. I like that.
That's funny. I don't even know. I feel like I don't ever want to know because I do feel like deep beneath Leo could lose it and just like really lose it.
Yeah.
Like really lose it. And I don't think that I should find that out. I think we should just stay away from that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Nobody wants. He'll say things to me all the time like, I'm going to key that person. Right? I'm like, you have crazy eyes. You need to rein it the fuck in.
I think at least it's good that when people say that, if they're like, I'm going to punch you in the face, I'll key your car, I'm going to do this, because the act of saying it for
Feels
me
good.
is the release.
Yeah.
I don't have to key the car.
I agree.
I just wouldn't say I'm going to key the car.
Yeah, I'm not actually going to do that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like I always tell people I'm going to shake them. I'm going to shake you. Like,
Yeah.
and it just makes me
Yeah.
feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get that.
You know?
I tell my children all the time, I will sell you. Then I feel great. So I know I could.
I could.
I'm not going to, but I could.
I could. There's so many markets for you.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's sick.
You have
but
beautiful
there's
babies. There's a lot of market
markets for beautiful babies. I could get some rich white lady come buy that baby for like $1 million.
You know?
100,000
You really
probably.
could, Bridget. You were snoozing on this.
I
You could be
know.
a millionaire already.
I know. If I was willing to have multiple pregnancies, I could be breeding these beautiful children for other people.
Oh, gosh.
But I'm not.
But you're not.
That sounds terrible. I can make money a lot of different ways. That's not a good one.
What was your favorite line in this book?
So I had two.
Okay.
Because I was two. She says, if I were to lose my virtue, some would deem me worthless. And he's like, you could never be worthless. And she's like, Gabriel Duke, you are priceless. Which is cute because I like that she says some would deem me worthless, not I think I'll be worthless.
Yeah.
Which I liked. And then I also liked, this is Gabriel's internal monologue. He would not put his hands on Lady Penelope Champion again. Absolutely not. Definitely not. Probably not. Damn. And I was like, that's how my reasoning goes. I'm definitely not going to do it. Maybe I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll probably do it.
Yeah. Shit, I did it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
How about you?
My favorite line was just at the very end because I liked that she was trying to get the parrot to like not say like bad words and stuff and say like I love you, and at the end she's flirting with him or whatever, and Penny's last line to Gabriel is like, fancy a fuck, love.
Yeah. I thought that was
And
really
I thought
cute.
that was really cute.
That was really cute.
So, and that made me
That
laugh.
parrot was hilarious.
It was.
I also like that everyone was trying to figure out what the parrot was saying. And then he's like, it's saying fancy a fuck, love. And they're like, a scandalo.
And also he was trying to like place it in the house with kids and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, totally. He's like, they won't know what it's saying. They're like, yeah, we're not taking that parrot. We're not taking this parrot. I did think it was nice that all her friends like stepped up and took many respective animals.
Yeah. And then they bought a farm, and the whole wrap up
Yeah.
really nicely at the
Of course.
at the epilogue.
Of course.
or whatever.
Love an epilogue. My favorite review of this was from Riley from Goodreads. And Riley said, the Slytherin Hufflepuff ship we deserve. And I thought that was kind of cute. Because if you think about it, he was a Slytherin because he's the Duke of Ruin, and she's
Yeah.
definitely a Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
Except for that obviously Slytherins would not be supporting orphanages, as I have said numerous times in this review. But I did like it.
That's awesome. What are you? What house are you in?
I don't know.
What house is Leo in?
Slytherin. Or maybe actually probably Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
He's probably Ravenclaw. I would probably Gryffindor.
I would say you're a Gryffindor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm definitely not a Hufflepuff.
You're not a Hufflepuff.
Definitely not a Slytherin.
You're not a Slytherin. You're
And
not
I'm
a
not a
Ravenclaw.
Ravenclaw either.
Yeah, I think you're a solid Gryffindor.
What would you be?
I would be a Slytherin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Metal would be a Slytherin, and Brendan would be a Hufflepuff. He's definitely a Hufflepuff, man.
We love you, Brendan.
We love you, Brendan.
Brendan is editing this podcast. So.
But that's actually kind of what it feels like. Like I'm like, oh yeah, he's like the soft sweet one.
So what did you think about Penny? What rating did you give her?
I gave Penny a 5. I think it's my first 5 I've ever given.
This is your first 5.
It is.
High praise, Tessa Dare.
I really liked her. I thought she was weird and quirky. I love that she was like kind of putting her foot down about being independent. Even when they're like, you have to get rid of these animals and whatever, she's like still trying to finagle a way around it.
Yeah.
And whatever, and kind of hustle him to get help with the animals. Mm-hmm. And so I like that about her. I liked her taking back kind of her control and power in her own like sexuality and that sort of thing. And I like at the end when he's like going to blackmail her family and she's like, nah, dog, like this ain't going down.
I got this.
Yeah. She's like, everybody warned me against you. And here's that moment that they were warning about. And I'm going to walk away right now. And I liked that she walked away and had that kind of hard stance right there. And we still got our happily ever after.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like her. She had backbone, and I like that. And I don't like wishy-washy backbone. You know when the heroines are like they have backbone, and then when it comes to the moment they need backbone, they're like, huh.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I agree. So. I gave her a 5 too. I liked her.
Oh,
I liked her. I thought she was funny. I thought she was weird. I thought she was goofy. She was lusty. I liked her.
She was lusty.
She was lusty.
And she was open about it.
Yes, and I liked it. I liked it. I like a lusty lady.
What do you think about our hero, Gabriel?
I gave him a 4. I did like him. And I liked that he was so like intrigued by her and sort confounded by her and like how much she loved the animals and stuff. Again, I lost a star because I just didn't like that he sported the orphanage at the end. I was like, this is just nonsense. Like, I just feel like if you build a character, he should be that character.
Yeah.
But I in general liked him. I thought he gave me some good smolder. I did feel like he was set up to be more of a McSteamy, but he was definitely a McDreamy for me.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I like a McDreamy. I like a McDreamy. Vanilla McDreamy.
Yeah.
But he definitely had a good smolder. He gave her some good tension.
He did.
Which I liked.
He did. I was like, oof. In my mind, he was so strong too.
Yes.
Ooh, he could lift you.
He can lift you up.
Yeah.
He does nothing active in his life. Why is he strong? I don't know.
But he was so.
I heard this hilarious thing that everyone in the past was cut because there wasn't enough food.
Solid reason.
I was like, that's hysterical. So true. I mean, if you don't have like drive-through, of course everyone's gonna be shredded.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, like it's kind of like when I went to Tokyo. I mean, they have food and whatever, but everybody walks to the train every day. So they eat and they do much better at portion control. They don't overeat as a generalness. And everything they eat is much healthier. Yeah. And I had a candy bar. I ate a candy bar there and it had 1/3 the sugar that it normally has in the US.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this bullshit?
Yeah.
And apparently they don't like too much sweet. So everything that you would eat here has way less sugar over there.
Yeah.
So everybody there was just really fit. The only obese person I saw was an American.
Yeah.
And so like, but they walked to the train, so everybody was just so like in shape.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this is nice, but also I hate walking to this train every day.
I was like, you hate walking.
I did. I actually got in shape while I was there because I was there for 2 weeks walking. Yeah. And I tried to come back and keep walking to keep up being in shape, but it didn't work out.
That's why when I go on trips, I was pre-train.
Yeah.
For the tourist lifestyle, which is like an aggressive amount of walking, a lot of standing and like looking at shit, which always makes my back ache. Just like standing and looking at art, I'm like, I will fucking die right now. And then like a lot of going up and down stairs. You know, if you're going up into like some cathedral watchtower, you got to be ready for that, you know?
Yeah. Those 700 ginormous brick stairs in not in Tokyo, we were in Nikko.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like, but the stairs they're not like normal size stairs. They're about 3 times the size of a normal stair that you're going to go up. And there were 700 of these. I know I counted because the only way I could get my body to do it was I would stand at the bottom of a set of stairs and I would guess. I would be like, there's 10 here. And then I'd count going up and that would distract me enough to like not feel like I was dying.
Yeah. Like the Great Wall of China, which we hiked on. It's not smooth and flat like in the movies.
It's not?
It's got, I mean... First of all, it goes up and down with the mountains.
Uh-huh.
So it's a lot of up and down. And then also there's like big bolts. You have to climb over different parts. Like some of the connections are broken. So it's a lot of like, it's just a lot of physical activity.
You have just ruined the Great Wall of China for me.
It's beautiful. You should still go.
I'm like, I'm going to admire you from afar. Like
the internet.
I will stand back and look at a portion of the wall.
Yes. It was an exhausting hike. So yeah, I always got to train. So clearly these people were definitely in shape.
Yeah.
He was definitely jacked.
I gave him a 4 too.
You did?
I did.
What'd you lose a star for him on?
So I lost a star because like sometimes it annoys me when characters keep telling me like keep saying the same thing over and over, and he's like, I'm a hard ass. He had this like whole like I've lived a tough life, I'm a hard ass type thing that he just kept harping on for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, we get it. You're a hard ass. We get it.
She gets it.
Yeah.
We're there.
I'm with you. I'm on the story with you. Like so for me that's kind of why I lost the star. I thought him trying to blackmail the parents later too. I was like, come on, bro. Like, it's not a smooth move. You're smarter than this. I actually think of him as a cunning, savvy person. And so in this respect, I was like, that's not savvy. Like, that's not the way to go. You gotta
know she's not gonna be down for that.
Yeah, or whatever. And so that's why he lost the star. But in general, I really liked him. And I thought their chemistry was good. Really good. Really smoldery.
Well, since this is your genre, if people like this book, or what other books would you recommend to them?
So Tessa Dare has another book called The Governess Game. And if I remember correctly, that one was good. But I actually recommend Tessa Dare. Okay. Like in general. All
right. So on the website, we'll link a couple different Tessa Dares that we like.
Yeah.
And by we, I mean Shani.
Yeah, I will.
And and I will also read a few more because I did enjoy this book. I think it is absolutely worth the read. Whether or not you like historical, I think it was worth the read since you like it and I don't necessarily, and we both like it. So that's a thumbs up in my direction.
I also like Amanda Quick. She writes these kind of historicals. And Jane Feather. She doesn't write these kind of historicals, but I love Jane Feather. I love Jane
maybe we'll have to put a little Jane Feather on the list for.
Love Charade, but don't read that one if you don't like a little bodice ripper. That one's a little bodice rippery.
Ooh.
Which is weird because I don't like sexual assault in my books like as a past trope type thing.
Right.
But I will accept bodice rippers. It's weird.
But bodice rippers are consensual.
No, bodice rippers are not consensual.
I thought they were. Wait, what's a bodice ripper? Maybe
bodice
I don't even know.
Bodice ripper is like rape in a story, or like force, or coercion, or something like that. Like literally, like ripping a bodice off.
Oh,
that's what bodice rippers are. And when I first started reading romance novels,
but the person is like not into it.
Is not into
until it's happening.
Yeah, so that's why I like what was her name from who does the BDSM books that we met?
Scarlett Peckham.
Scarlett Peckham. She was talking about Whitney, My Love. That book is a bodice ripper. She's like, that's why she was like, oh, it's problematic. She's like, the first book I read was The Whitney, My Love. And now they've edited out that portion of the book. But it used to be that he like forced her, and then he goes down to like a pub and he's talking about like how he forced her and like how, like how fucked up it is that he did and whatever, but it was used as like a driver in a story, and then they would still have a happily ever.
And then it becomes consensual.
And then it becomes
at some point.
Yeah, and then it becomes happily ever after or whatever. But yeah, it's a sexual assault in a story.
I did not know that. It turns out I don't read historicals.
Yeah.
So apparently I've just never.
Well, there's like this whole time in the 70s where bodice rippers were a thing.
Yeah.
Like it was just.
I mean, it makes sense. It's like it's still a thing in porn too. Yeah. So it makes sense that it was.
Well, a lot of women have rape fantasies.
I was gonna say it's definitely a fantasy. Fulfillment sort of thing that but then he also becomes caring, and he also becomes
exactly. I think you're more attached to his side of the story and the characters or whatever. But rape fantasies are such a thing, and so in these old books, women loved it. Yeah. And I can understand it because when you come from like a house that's like super religious or oppressed, rape is the way you can get away with having sex. Like if someone forced you to do it, then it wasn't your choice. So it's okay.
So it's okay. And then you can get married to them.
Exactly. Rape and anal. Like you're still a virgin. You're still a virgin.
Blowjobs. Still a virgin.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And so these are loopholes. And these are things I remember talking about as a kid.
That's so interesting.
Like my
I never
cousins and sisters.
Sex was like super open in our household. And so I never, I guess, felt that like, oh, I can't have sex. Like I always knew I was going to one day because sex is a perfectly normal thing that everyone does.
Yeah.
And I always knew I was going to probably have sex before marriage because that's a perfectly normal thing that most people do in modern society. So I never thought like, I never like would have thought of that as being a reason to have a rape fantasy.
Yeah. But
not that I've never had the fantasy of like someone forcing me and me liking it, because I totally have. I get the fantasy.
Yeah.
I just have never thought of it because I shouldn't be having sex, I guess.
Mm-hmm. But like,
interesting.
My cousins and I, we used to sit around, like us girls. We would talk about this all the time.
Yeah,
and that's the narrative. It's like, well, we can't have sex, but if someone forced us, or
if someone broke into the house, and then
so your fantasy,
he was tall and handsome.
Yeah.
And then.
So like your fantasy, of course, you like never want it to really happen, but your fantasies run in that direction, and that's why I think when you restrict people, you pervert their sexuality was supposed to be or could be, because now we're like looking at ways around this when we're in our sexual peak, or we're or 13 blossoming, and 14 blossoming, and those things are getting embedded in as our norms. Like I had a cousin who would always be like, I'm a virgin, and we're like, but you've had so much anal sex, like, but if you don't have vaginal sex, you're still a virgin,
which is crazy.
It's like a technicality.
But I guess they consider anal virginity a separate thing from
so your hymen
virginity.
It's all about your hymen. If your hymen isn't broken, then you're a virgin. You know what I mean? So there's like that's why they always say like Christian kids have these weird loop around workarounds, a lot of blowjobs, a lot of anal, a lot of whatever.
Yeah.
So like and that's also why they say like the freakiest people you meet are in church. It's because they're willing to do anal first. Normally people build up to anal. But yeah, it's a very real thing, and so it boggles my mind where you're like, we talked about sex in my household. I'm like, we still haven't talked about sex in my household. When I try to talk to my mom about sex, she's like, la 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 la.
You're so funny.
So anyway, but I did like this book, and I like that they gave you that feeling of like destigmatizing, sex and whatever and whatnot. So, but anyway, Jane Feather, love Charade. It's a bit of a bodice ripper, but I did love that one, and it was from a long time ago. I need to find that book.
It's interesting because obviously in real life, someone who forces themselves on someone or coerces someone or whatever is not a good thing. And yet I feel like it does still happen where people are like not sure, and then they have sex with someone and then they end up being in a relationship with them. Yeah. Good or bad. I mean, sometimes it's fine and sometimes it's not fine.
Yeah.
But
I think it's if you have a trauma attached to that moment. Like there's some people I know, like they were in that in-between state and they felt like someone really pushed them, And then there's sometimes like, where you're just like, I might not be in the mood right now. Somebody's like, well, you're like, all right, here we go. But you don't have a trauma.
But you've agreed to it.
Yeah. You don't have a trauma attached to it. And you didn't feel like hyper pushed into it.
Right. You didn't feel like you were taken advantage of or assaulted or hurt or whatever.
Like those lazy days where you're like, I'm too lazy to really protest this. Sure. Why not? I'll roll over. Get it from the back.
Roll over. I've totally been there. You're like,
yeah. You know what I mean? You're like, if I don't have to do too much work, this can go down.
Yeah. But that's still in my mind consent.
It is.
It is. In my mind and also in real life.
But I think we've all had sex at a time where we didn't really want to, but it also was like not non-consensual. Do you know what I mean? You're like, I don't feel good. I haven't showered. I'm not feeling the most or whatever. Yeah. But the other person really wants to, and you're not opposed to them. Right. So you do it, and there's no lasting, lingering harm from that situation. Right. Versus like the lady was talking about Aziz Ansari, and she's like, he just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. Come on, that's it. Right. And her whole thing was that I think they did have consensual sex, but she felt so pressured and pushed into it.
She gave him a blowjob.
Okay. Yeah. She gave him a blowjob, but she felt so pushed into it that afterwards.
Like she just wanted to like shut him up, basically. Like, yeah. Okay, fine. Like, leave me alone.
And I'm like, which Aziz Ansari pushing you is like the weirdest. Allegedly, I'll say alleged because I don't know what happened with the story or what happened. No,
he's admitted that.
That's right. He did. He didn't deny it.
He didn't deny it. He said, I just didn't know that you felt that way.
Yeah.
But I can see though with his like sort of manic energy.
Yeah. him being,
come on,
it'd be like,
you know,
yeah, it'd being like, But I also can't see him being that threatening. Also, like if he's like, come on, I'd be like, nigga, get out of my face.
Yeah.
Like, what did you do?
I also feel like you're probably like
I'm also a bit
more confident.
Yeah.
You're, you know, tall and strong.
I'm sure, and we're probably the same size.
You're probably bigger than him. He's a small man. But also, it's not even that so much as it is like, I don't know, like it must be a weird thing.
Probably hits the people pleasing that a lot of girls are ingrained to have.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like, yeah. I forget. I mean, I remember like reading about it, but I feel like it's pretty easy to get into a situation where you're just like, fine, I'll just do this so that you shut up.
Yeah.
Like, I've definitely had that happen once where, I mean, I don't feel bad about it or pressured about it because I could have just walked away and I was like, all right, well, we can fool around a little. Because I'm not like opposed to it, but I'm not like you said, I'm just like, whatevs.
Yeah. You're like indifferent to the moment.
Yeah. And it was fine. It was like we didn't have sex, but it was fine.
Yeah.
And after I was talking to my friend and I was like, basically, we were both like wingmanning another two who really wanted it. So they had gone off to go to Pound Town. And she's like, is everything okay? Like, you know, and we had been like flirting and stuff. And I was like, yeah, it was fine. I was like, we fooled around a little, you know. And when she came back, we were at a park and I was like swinging on a swing. She's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah. I just didn't feel like, I didn't feel like doing anything else. So I was just like, I'm going to swing on the swing and drink a bottle of wine, which is what I did. But I can totally see where a different personality like that would have even been like a very uncomfortable situation.
Yeah.
Whereas I was just like, that's just not my personality to feel uncomfortable about that particular situation. So
I'd see that a lot. Like I am fairly confident. It took me a while to be as confident as I am, but I am fairly confident. I'll tell people to fuck off in a second.
Yeah.
But like in my support group, there's people in this group who talk about scenarios they've been in and like in right now or something happened, whatever. And I'm like, what in the actual fuck? how at point one, like they'll be like point A, B, C, D, E, you know? And I'm like, how at point A did you not say fuck all the way off? How did you get to E?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That to me, the fact that you don't feel empowered to say no through A, B, C, D and made it all the way to E.
I agree.
Like, that, I'm just like, that shouldn't exist. I don't know how we make that not exist, but I need everybody to feel empowered to say.
I do think it is like the conditioning to children of like, oh no, you have to hug someone. You have to like be nice to them. You have to. No, you're a good girl. Good girls don't say, leave me alone. Like, no, be good. No, be nice. No, be. So you're like conditioned to ignore your own responses and your own emotions.
Yeah.
It's really hard because even I wouldn't necessarily treat a little girl or a little boy I was raising differently. I just happened to have a girl. But it's hard for me even sometimes to not say like, I want you to be good though. And I have to say like, I want you to, you know, like respect that I'm asking you. Or like sometimes because I'm your mom, you have to do things because you have to be safe or you have to be warm. Like you have to wear your socks. I'm sorry. But like, it's hard to not say like, be nice. But it's not really, I don't want her to be nice. I want her to like have empathy for others and be kind. You know what I mean? But it's a hard thing to in the heat of the moment, like put into words.
Yes.
Like, oh, you hit me and that hurt my feelings because I'm your mom and I love you and I am trying to help you and you're hitting me. And if you're upset, it's okay to be upset, but it's not okay to hit someone when you're upset. Like, it's okay if you're mad. It's okay if you can cry and you can yell at me. That's okay, but you can't hit me. But it's so hard in the moment to not be like, look, you little bitch, if you don't back the fuck off, put on your goddamn socks right now and be nice to me. I will throw you out with the trash.
I will sell you.
Yeah, it's so hard to not do that. But so many people, like, especially I see it with, like, even my mom or even, like, other people of the older generation who are very much more like genderized in their thinking are like, oh, she's a little girl. No, but you have to be nice. You have to like share with them. And I'm not saying I teach her to share. I teach her that sharing is good and that maybe if you share with them, they'll share back with you. And sometimes you share and they don't share back, and that's okay too. And sometimes you don't have to share, and that's okay too. But like, it's a conditioning for sure.
Yeah.
Because I've even been in situations where, even with like oral sex, where they're like, "Oh, well, I went down on you, should you go down on me?" I'm like, "This is not how the fucking shit works, bro." Like, just get a blowjob because, like, no, I'm sorry, I didn't sign some contract with you. You chose to do that. That was on you.
Yeah,
I didn't ask you. We were, like, sorry, not on the table. Certainly not on the table now that you're trying to force me to do it by guilting me into it because of you. Like, no, I'm sorry. But also, like, I know a lot of people who'd be like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Because they don't have...
First of all, I think, like, blowjobs or oral sex is so specific sometimes because...
I think that is more intimate than sex.
100%. For me, it is.
100%.
100%.
A bunch of people I've talked to have said the same thing.
I'd rather fuck you. Because my vagina is so far removed
so
from my
far
head.
from me.
You know what I mean? Like, what happens down there is like a whole nother town. But what happens up here is really in my face.
Yes.
Literally in my face.
Yes.
You know? And for me, like, the smell. Yep. Like, have you showered today? Where are we in the day? Is this morning? Is this night? Is it afternoon?
You got
like,
dick cheese on there?
Exactly.
What you got going on?
You know what I'm saying? Are you a good wiper? Are you circumcised? Not circumcised? What's odor?
Yeah.
It all comes back to odor for me because I'm like, if as soon as I waft something that don't smell kosher, I'm just like, nah. Can't do it. Body turned off. Said no.
Yep.
Closed.
Nah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, and I've never been someone to force some. Well, in general don't like when guys go down on me. It's never done anything for me.
I agree.
Like, I
always feel like in romance novels, that is like the quintessence. And he went down on me.
Yeah.
And that's like the height of him wanting you and liking you. And I'm always like, it's just not for me.
Yeah, like
as much.
Every guy,
I would prefer many other things before I prefer
so
that.
So many other things. Put my boobs in your mouth for a while. Like that's. I mean, I know that don't work for you, but for me, that's like kryptonite.
Hilarious.
You know what I mean? And but like,
yeah, I'm like whisper speak on my neck a little bit.
Yeah, talk dirty
kisses.
to me.
Maybe scrape your teeth on me.
Yes.
I think that's why I like vampires. I have a very sensitive neck.
Oh,
like if you like even if I'm like getting my hair cut, if they like scrape a comb on my neck, I'll be at the height of arousal at the end of a haircut. It doesn't matter who's cutting my hair. It has nothing to do with that. I just close my eyes, and the way they like scratch my head, my neck, I'm like, I'll die. I'll die. It's so great.
I love that. Teeth on the neck or teeth scraping the skin anywhere.
Yes.
I have very my skin is weird where it like doesn't register pain the same way. So it's like I love that. I like biting or things like that. All of that to me is
the only biting I don't love is because I'm a very pale individual. So like really hard biting on exposed body parts like my neck and stuff. I'm like, this shit's gonna show up tomorrow. I live in LA. I can't be wearing turtlenecks around. I can't be wearing a scarf every single day in the summer. Like I was hooking up with someone once and he was, and when I say black, I mean like black as night. I mean, he was very dark skinned. Yeah. And he at one point bit me. I'm not saying I was all into it. I was all about it. And I was like, yo, bro, like, I am too pale for you to bite me that hard there. Like, feel free to bite in other places, but, like, I got to go to work tomorrow. And he was like, okay, yeah, okay. And he did it, like, 3 more times. And I was like, look at the color of my skin. I am sorry that I am not a beautiful shade of ebony like you, but you cannot bite me this hard. And the next day I had purple marks all over my neck. So I had to literally, I was coaching little kids. And we were coaching inside, and I had to wear a zip-up, like, Adidas jacket zipped all the way up. I was sweating buckets. I was dying. And they last forever. And, so one of the ways to get rid of bruises, I don't know if you ever knew this, but I do because I had to get rid of some bruises, is, you don't bruise. Yeah. Well, your skin's light enough that I feel like a bruise would show through. You just don't bruise.
I just never have.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
So you take a comb, and if you like grate it through, it helps like disperse the blood and the coloring. So I'm in my room just combing my neck like a psycho. Oh my God, my friends were laughing at me so hard. They're like, how do you get in these situations? I was like, look, because I'm good at fucking and people get into it. And then folk will bite somebody because they're into it. But also, motherfucker, I am too pale.
I know that. I flicked this girl in band. And she was like, oh my God, I got a bruise now. I was like, calm down. Sure enough, I flicked her like This real basic ass flick. And she broke out this big, huge bruise.
So that's my sister and my mom. Whoa. You poke them and that it's gonna purple. I definitely am not that far, but if it's a hard enough hit, I will get a big bruise.
Dang. I was like, I don't know what to do about that.
I also get bruises a lot that I don't know that happened. So I'll just like the next day be like, when did I bump into something?
Yeah.
I'll have like little bruises all over. And my husband's like, what did you do yesterday? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel like I did anything. And just like little bruises. I just constantly apparently bumping into things.
Which is like...
And not feeling it or not feeling that it hurt.
So my mom and I are the same skin tone, right? And like, I think we might have the most fair complexion of everyone. And my mom bruises so easily. She does that. Bumps into things. Gets these bruises. I mean, where'd you get that bruise on your elbow? I don't know. Where's your back of your arm? I don't know. And she doesn't take like aspirin or a thinner or whatever. She just bruises. And I'm like, I have never bruised. I have never once. I told my mom I'm gonna write a book about her.
Did you play sports when you were younger?
Not very swimming, but not like impact sports.
I was like swimming. I got
kicked off the basketball team. Okay. But like I told my mom that I was gonna write a book about her called Black Kids Don't Bruise because my mom beat the shit out of us. But like when you go to school, there's nothing for your teacher. Like if your mom beat the shit out of you and you went to school, your teacher would report.
DCFS would be called
in a minute.
Yeah.
But black kids, they can beat the shit out of us and nobody knows it because we don't really bruise. So I told her that's the name of the book. The tell-all book. I'm about to write.
Should make it a children's book.
Black
kids don't bruise.
No bruise.
But then it turns out that some of them do.
Some of them do. My mom, especially.
That's like little black kids don't burn, but they do.
But they do. People try to tell me all the time. I'm like, well, then what about this sunburn on my shoulder and my nose and my T-zone?
And I'm hurting. It's
hurting.
My arms hurt.
And then one time in Palm Springs where I burnt my entire body from head to toe.
Ooh.
Like, you ever see Malcolm in the Middle where he peels off his
Oh, I've peeled my back.
Like, but he tries to peel his whole body down in one sheet.
Yeah.
And then his mom sucks it up in the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
I thought that was us at Palm Springs. His whole face just peeling off.
Yeah.
That was insane.
That's how you get that fresh baby skin. You just burn off all the upper layers.
Isn't that what a chemical peel is?
I mean, it literally is.
People, after they get a chemical peel, looks so gross to me. It look like fresh meat.
It's all red.
Weird. I don't know. We've gone on a tangent. But, yeah.
Good to Well, that was the tangent of the day for you. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you next time. And next time, we will be reading another book. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun. Guess what we're going to do next time, man? Find us on Instagram.
I got Shawnee go with that joke. That was for you.
Thanks.
Find us on Instagram. Let us know what you think about this book. Are you a Tessa Dare fan? Are you a historical fiction fan? What are your thoughts? And be sure to stick around. Let us know what you want us to read because we are always looking for more books to review and always looking to talk about a little bit of fucking.
Hell yeah. And I want to know, like, when you hit us up on Instagram, let me know if you like bodice rippers. I kind of want to get, like, a poll going to see how many people actually really like bodice rippers. I do like bodice rippers, even though I don't like there to be, like, a past sexual situation, molestation.
I agree. I would prefer to have a bodice ripper over a past.
Yeah. Like,
for sure.
So, I just want to know. Hit us up on Instagram.
Because a past one doesn't involve the couple. Like, it involves one individual, not the couple. Whereas the bodice ripping is still, the couple still has to, like, get past it or work it out or blah, blah, blah.
There's a chance for, weirdly enough, redemption in it, and you can find that. Like, but in the other one, especially when it deals with her being a kid, like, for me, I'm like, nah. Like, just, it puts it in a new realm.
I agree.
Whatever. So let me know on Instagram.
Let us know about bodice rippers, romance at glance. And until then, we'll see you next time.
Hey, Bridget, may your books be your lover.
And your hand your best friend.
Yowzers!
Thanks for listening.
Subscribe to our channel to get new episodes, clips, and more.
And click here to watch our previous reviews and author interviews.